Thank you for joining us. At this time, we will take questions from the citizens, so we'd like to hear from you all, and we'll answer the questions as best we can. We have about 20 minutes. We are supposed to leave this facility around 8:30. So, who would like to be first? Please introduce yourself when you come to the microphone. Go ahead, Aubrey. Come on up.
That's the mayor's to hand that. That's for you, boss, to reward people with. Or throw it at them.
Here, Aubrey, would you like? Go ahead.
Might need that. Aubrey Shepherd, Mayor Jordan, and council members and staff members, thank you. I'm going to start at the top of this last item we were just talking about. I really hope that big lawn has native grass as tall as it can grow, and it isn't mowed down. Like, it'll be a humiliation in the future for people to have mowed grass instead of tall grass in their parks. And it's been nearly, 4.5 years since Lionel said we were going to see a third of every park in his first speech, State of the City, and a third of every park would be in native grass and so forth. And we recently, it still hasn't happened in all the parks. And some of the parks have much of a nature area. But anyway, that's still a goal that I hope will be supported on this very natural area. It's an environmental disaster to build a park there. It is beautiful land. I was lucky to get to mow some of it. Not mow it, excuse me, I never mow. I haven't mowed since I was a kid playing on the lot next door.
Me there for a minute.
Baseball is the only thing I mow for. But anyhow, the moving of earth there will be tremendous, and it'll be a big project with a lot of environmental change. So every large tree that can be saved there, every little patch of wetland around the creeks, every way you can set aside some that, even if it's right next to a ball field, even if the ball goes over in the water like they do at Baum Stadium when a good home run's hit, it's still worth it. Somebody out there with a lab can retrieve those before they get soaked. Anyway, on the downtown square, I said this, I think, a year ago in a meeting of this, at this same place maybe, that please just put the lights up in the trees and don't take out the flower beds around there, around the square. And down on Block Avenue, where we're also having lights this year, the flower beds should be left as long as possible. Why? Well, birds and butterflies and bees, all the good insects and air quality are all things that require green plants into the fall. Particularly this year on the big African milkweed plants on the east side of the square, there are monarchs. I didn't see a monarch this year in April when they're usually here, May, June,
Would you give me
or
that
July.
location again, Aubrey?
On the east side of the square, where the entry to the old post office, what do you call it, the service entry. Thank you, whoever whispered. I couldn't see your mouth move, but I heard you. Thank you. Anyhow, there are a bunch of monarchs there last week or so, and a lot of little kids got to see them. Of course, I was standing there pointing. You see this? And one little girl had been to the botanical garden the day on Friday, and she in particular walked up. I said, "See the monarchs?" And she said, "Yeah, that was a boy." And I said, "Well, tell us how you know." Well, there's a little spot on one of the two stripes that come down in the back, and it's an enlarged area where the male has a pheromone release site that attracts the girls. So we'd like to see that those caterpillars have, that will probably, eggs will be laid right now, and it'll take more than a month before those butterflies go through the process of climbing on, creating a chrysalis. First, the caterpillars have to get big, eating the milkweed. They can only eat milkweed. And when the lights are being turned on, the flowers may not all be in bloom, but if those plants are there, caterpillars, not just monarchs, but other species that have host plants on that square, beautiful native plants in amongst some of those other non-natives, will be developing on that site. And birds will be coming there to eat some of those insects. Some of the birds will be there to eat the seeds from those plants. So it's a beauty spot. Very proud of the square. And of course, it'll cost less if we don't cover, have the staff go in and remove the plants. Some of them they rescue and overwinter, some of them they just have to discard. And I think they will give you some if you're standing there when they throw them away, right, Connie? They can things they have to pull and stuff that may still have the roots. But we shouldn't say that because they sell bouquets on the square and don't want too much competition. But anyway, another area is from neighbors. I get stoplight needed at 15th and Razorback. If that could be on the list for the transportation folks. And I would, and congratulations on the great new things going on with recycling. But I would love to see more, some of the things we're talking about, especially watershed issues. On that downtown, my question was, can the Walton Arts Center parking lot hold 6 inches of rain in some underground storage or something so that it doesn't contribute to the flooding downstream on Tanglewood Branch and flooding even further down, all the way to Beaver Lake? If there's not some underground storage there, there's no more absorbent soil downtown, except where you have some flower beds, where we've got deep soil in some of the flower beds. But anyway, that would be minimum 6-inch rain right now to be held to actually slow down flooding downstream, because all this paving is covering our flat land with flooding. So I would love to see more training for, well, all the workers in all the departments about some of these things. Low-impact development. And that several departments are in the process of developing things. Park department has trail and parks and highway and water and sewer and all these things that are out there. So low-impact development could make a difference in our watershed, in the cost of cleaning water in both Beaver Lake and downstream on the Illinois River, but Lake Tenkiller in Oklahoma and so forth. Streamside ordinance, there needs to be coordination in thinking overall about low-impact development, streamside ordinance, how to protect the streams when you're building a trail, or a street, or putting in any kind of facility, because in order to get developers to accept these things, then we need to have city departments modeling these things. You can't wait for the private sector. They don't want to change the way they do things, and it's not because it'll cost them more. It may cost them less. They just need to rethink the easy, old-fashioned way. Tree protection, part of the same thing. Urban wildlife resolution the council passed to support 3 years ago or so. Every stick of vegetation, if it's native, is very important for wildlife. And by that, every insect that a bird eats, every earthworm that's in good soil, that birds, you see the robins doing it, but a lot of them do it. There's a naturalized yard option that was passed several years ago, And I'd love to see code enforcement actually have a handout to say, if you will do these things, you can eliminate that waste of gasoline. Billions of dollars are used to mow every year, things that don't need mowing, and it's harmful to the environment nationally. And that's coming out of our budget. I know we've got our park mowers and some of the others may have mowers, but now that they're using a less polluting fuel, it's less expensive and so forth, that really helps. And by the way, those engines run fast with those new mowers powered that way. Anyway, it's just a matter of educating the public, all the workers, developers, and us. Every resident has to participate if we're to really have a green city. Thank you.
Thank you all. All right. Who would like to be next? About 10 minutes or so. Anyone? Okay. All right, now let me just recap just a little bit here. Would you like to see the great lawn and natural grasses, right, Aubrey? Okay. On the downtown square and the lights of the Ozark, leave flower beds, block and square in place, correct? For the butterflies, right?
And the children.
Oh, okay, I'm flowing with you. I'm just making sure I got everything down right. And a stoplight was at 15th and Razorback, correct? Underground storage in the Walton Arts Center, where we would have less flooding on, Tanglewood, thank you.
And that is part of the design. Underground detention is part of the parking deck design.
Right. And more training and low-impact development for the staff, and streamside protection ordinance adhered to closer, correct? And better tree protection. Did I leave anything out?
Sounds good.
I have a question for you. Why do we have less monarchs, do you think, now than before? I mean, have we removed the flower beds, Connie?
Some of them we remove for the next show.
That don't take too long, but just tell me why you think
Some of
that.
them we leave in there.
No, I mean, I'm good. Because I'm running out of time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
If more people had come and spoken, I wouldn't be talking this
Well,
long.
that's okay, but I mean, that's
But the monarchs are in short supply on both ends of the flight area. They migrate all the way from Canada to Mexico, and some of them fly from across the Gulf of Mexico to get there. And down there, it's a similar thing. Their habitat down there is primarily a certain species of tree that grows in a very limited area where they winter over. And people have been taking out and selling those trees. And I can't even name the trees. You can read about it on the internet. In Arkansas and in most of the United States, milkweed is a very common species or genus, and they're nearby, within a mile or less than a mile of my home in South Fayetteville. I found 11 species of milkweed.
Okay, so
But-
have we removed milkweed? Is that what you're
Well,
saying?
I'm saying that, yes, every time something's paved, every time
Oh,
you
okay.
red dirt somebody's
All
lot,
right.
and it no longer has absorbent, black, rich soil, these plants are removed with it. And
Okay.
in most cases, they won't grow very well
Okay.
if you put them on top of red dirt in shallow soil. They need to get their roots down. They're perennials. So the monarchs have to have, their caterpillars must have some species of milkweed vegetation
Okay.
to eat.
So we had more milkweed, it would be better.
Well, if we have more natural soil, we'll have more of all of these things.
Okay.
So that's why low-impact development is important.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Good. Here, Aubrey, would you like a water bottle? I think you might need it. But anyway, is there anything else? Okay. I would certainly like to thank, I've got some folks I want to thank here. I want to thank Pastor Smith and St. James Baptist Church for providing this great facility for us tonight.